A mother pulls into a gas station parking lot in Anderson, South Carolina. It's January 30th, 2022, and 29-year-old Alexis Ware doing something she's done countless times before, meeting her ex-partner hand over their son for his visit. The surveillance cameras capture what appears to be an ordinary exchange between two parents who've learned to co-parent peacefully. But in less than 10 minutes, everything changes. The footage shows Alexis walking back to her red 2019 Honda Accord, getting behind the wheel, and preparing to follow TJ Patterson to his mother's house as they'd arranged. This should have been routine, a simple drive across town. Instead, when they reach the red light, Alexis does something completely unexpected. She drives around TJ's car and speeds away into the night. This moment will be the last confirmed sighting of Alexis Ware alive. Within hours, her family would realize something was terribly wrong. Within days, her abandoned car would be discovered on a remote dirt road, her belongings scattered inside, a single black hair bonnet lying nearby in the grass. But Alexis herself? She had vanished without a trace.
Well, this Thursday will mark 3 years since Alexis Ware was last seen driving away from a 7-Eleven in Anderson County. Her car was later found near the Georgia state line, but she was nowhere to be found.
And that case remains open under the Anderson County Sheriff's Office. Tonight, her loved ones are pushing for more to be done, not only for her case, but for other missing person cases. Fox Carolina's Kennedy Harris has more.
Alexis Ware's mother says since her disappearance, their family has been left with constant despair. And now as they continue to push for answers in her case, they're also hoping to help other families through the Alexis Ware Act.
This case will be 3 years old with absolutely no type of resolve whatsoever.
Uncertainty and anguish, words Alexis Ware's mother used in a letter describing her emotions the last few years.
What makes this disappearance even more chilling is what Alexis had been telling her family and friends in the weeks leading up to that January night. She'd been afraid, genuinely terrified, telling those closest to her that she might not live to see her 30th birthday. She spoke of being followed by a mysterious black truck, of receiving disturbing phone calls from someone she could only describe as the devil. Were Alexis's fears justified? Was someone really stalking this young mother, or was something else entirely happening in her life? And why, after what appeared to be a peaceful exchange with her son's father, did she suddenly flee into the night? This is the story of Alexis Ware. Welcome back to True Crime Station, where we dive deep into the most compelling and mysterious criminal cases that continue to baffle investigators and haunt communities. I'm your host, and today's case is particularly heart-wrenching, because it involves a young mother whose worst fears may have become her reality. If you find value in our work, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. At 29 years old, Alexis wasn't just another missing person statistic. She was a cornerstone of her Greenville, South Carolina community, known for her warmth, her dedication to her children, and her ability to light up any room she entered. Alexis was, above all else, a mother. She had 2 children with 2 different men. Her first child was with a man known as Sosa, and her second with TJ Patterson. Rather than allowing past relationships to create animosity, Alexis worked hard to maintain cordial relationships with both fathers. She understood that her children's well-being depended on stable, peaceful interactions between their parents. Those who knew Alexis described her as hardworking and dependable. She wasn't someone who created drama or sought attention. Instead, she was the kind of person others turned to for support, advice, or simply a friendly conversation. In her community, she was genuinely popular because people recognized her authentic kindness and reliability. Despite the challenges of single motherhood, Alexis maintained strong relationships with her extended family. She was the type of person who remembered birthdays, checked in on friends during difficult times, and always made sure her children felt loved and secure. She wasn't wealthy, but she was responsible and resourceful. Perhaps most importantly, Alexis was known for being level-headed. She wasn't prone to paranoia, didn't create unnecessary drama, and approached problems practically. When she spoke, people listened because they knew she didn't exaggerate or seek attention through manufactured crises. This reputation for being grounded and reliable makes what happened in her final weeks all the more disturbing. Understanding who Alexis really was, a loving mother, a reliable friend, a grounded individual who didn't seek drama, makes her final weeks all the more haunting. Because when someone like Alexis Ware starts saying she fears for her life, the people who know her best have every reason to take those fears seriously. In the months leading up to her disappearance, Alexis Ware began exhibiting behavior that alarmed everyone who knew her. This wasn't someone known for paranoia or dramatic outbursts. Alexis had always been a steady one, the reliable friend, the practical mother who handled challenges with grace. The first signs that something was seriously wrong came through conversations with her family and close friends. Alexis began telling them, with increasing frequency and urgency, that she feared for her life. These weren't vague concerns. She was explicit and direct. She told multiple people that she didn't think she would live to see her 30th birthday, which was approaching in the coming months. For someone like Alexis, who had always been forward-looking and optimistic about the future, these statements were deeply unsettling. This wasn't a woman prone to morbid thoughts or attention-seeking behavior. The fear became more concrete when Alexis began reporting that she was being followed. Specifically, she told friends and family members that a black truck had been following her around town. She noticed it multiple times in different locations and became convinced that whoever was driving it meant her harm. But perhaps most disturbing were the phone calls. Alexis told people close to her that she had been receiving threatening phone calls from someone she could only describe as the devil. The exact content of these calls remains unclear, but they clearly terrified her. Alexis, who had always been articulate and precise in her communication, seemed unable or unwilling to provide specific details about what was being said. The spiritual dimension of her fear was particularly notable because it represented a significant shift in how Alexis talked about her concerns. She began expressing worry about spiritual matters, discussing threats and dangers in terms that suggested she believed something supernatural or deeply evil was targeting her. As her fears intensified, Alexis's behavior began to change in ways that worried everyone around her. Most alarmingly, she started giving away her possessions. This wasn't spring cleaning. Alexis was giving away significant items, including things for her home and even her car. To those who knew her, this behavior suggested someone who was either planning to leave permanently or who believed she wouldn't need these possessions much longer. What made the situation even more puzzling was that Alexis couldn't or wouldn't identify a specific source for threats she was receiving. She spoke about being followed and receiving calls, but she didn't point to a particular person or explain why someone would want to harm her. T.J. Patterson would later describe Alexis's behavior during this period as erratic, though he seemed to acknowledge that something was genuinely troubling her. The fact that even those closest to her could see that her behavior had changed dramatically suggests that whatever was happening to Alexis was real and significant.
Yeah, true indeed, Lex. Yeah, damn right. She helped me goddamn come on, you know what I'm saying? She put forth and work and get my lawyer. Don't get it twisted now. I had money. Them police put my money in their pocket. Don't get it twisted now. But yeah, true indeed. Yeah, she helped me get home. Yeah, she got them paid for the lawyer. And salute to her. I told her if we don't work out, I will always have her back, no matter what. Never turn my back on her.
January 30th, 2022 started like many other days for Alexis Ware, but given her recent expressions of fear, the timing feels tragically prophetic. The plan for that evening was straightforward and routine. Alexis needed to meet T.J. Patterson a hand over their son for a scheduled visit. They arranged to meet at a gas station in Anderson, South Carolina, a public, well-lit location that was convenient for both of them. The surveillance footage from that gas station tells a story that, on the surface, appears completely normal. Alexis arrived in her red 2019 Honda Accord, and the footage shows her interacting with T.J. Patterson in what appears to be a calm, routine exchange. There are no signs of argument, no visible tension, no indication that either parent was upset or concerned. This peaceful interaction is crucial to understanding what makes Alexis's disappearance so puzzling. The surveillance shows exactly what you expect to see. Two adults handling a routine parenting responsibility with maturity and calm. After the exchange, the plan was for Alexis to follow TJ to his mother's house, where their son would be staying during his visit. This was routine. Alexis had made this drive before, knew the route, and had no reason to deviate from the plan. But something changed during that short drive. Traffic cameras captured the moment that would become the focal point of the entire investigation. Alexis was following TJ's car as planned when they approached a red light. This should have been just another traffic stop on a routine evening. Instead, when the light turned green, Alexis made a decision that no one has been able to explain. Rather than continuing to follow TJ to his mother's house, Alexis drove around his car and sped away. The traffic cameras show her Honda Accord accelerating past TJ's vehicle and disappearing into the night. TJ Patterson was apparently as surprised by this as everyone else would be. According to his later statements, he had no idea why Alexis suddenly changed course. Her sudden departure left him confused and eventually concerned. This was the last confirmed sighting of Alexis Ware. After driving around TJ's car at that red light, she vanished completely. No additional surveillance footage captured her car, no witnesses reported seeing her, and no cell phone data provided clues about where she went or why. What makes this moment even more mysterious is that it suggests Alexis made a conscious decision to deviate from a plan. This wasn't someone who was obviously in distress or being forced to do something against her will. The surveillance shows her actively choosing to drive around TJ's car and speed away. But what prompted this decision remains completely unknown. Several theories have been proposed about what might have happened at that red light. Perhaps Alexis saw something or someone that frightened her, maybe the black truck she had reported being followed by. Perhaps she received a phone call that caused her to panic and flee. Or perhaps, given her recent fears and erratic behavior, she simply became overwhelmed and made an impulsive decision to run. 3 days during which her family grew increasingly frantic and law enforcement began to understand that a routine missing person report had become something much more serious. The car was found on a dirt road in McCormick County, South Carolina, about an hour's drive from Anderson, where Alexis had last been seen. This wasn't a busy highway. It was a remote, rural location that suggested either intimate knowledge of the area or a deliberate attempt to hide something. When authorities examined the Honda Accord, what they found inside painted a disturbing picture. All of Alexis's personal belongings were still there: her purse, her phone, and a bag of clothes. For a woman who had been expressing fears for her safety, the fact that she would leave behind her phone and purse suggested either that she had left the car in extreme haste or that she hadn't left it voluntarily. The presence of her belongings also eliminated the possibility that this was a simple case of someone abandoning their car and starting a new life elsewhere. If Alexis had chosen to disappear, she would have needed her identification, her money, and her phone. Perhaps most significantly, investigators found a black hair bonnet near the car. This bonnet, which Alexis had been wearing when she was last seen, was discovered in the grass nearby. The fact that it was outside the car, rather than inside with her other belongings, suggested some kind of struggle or hurried departure. Hair bonnets don't typically fall off on their own. Finding it on the ground suggested that something had happened to cause it to come off Alexis's head. The location where the car was found became the center of extensive search efforts. Local law enforcement, the FBI, and volunteer search teams combed through the surrounding area, looking for any trace of Alexis. The involvement of the FBI signaled that authorities were taking this case seriously and that they suspected foul play. Despite these extensive search efforts, no trace of Alexis was found. No clothing, no additional personal items, no physical evidence that might explain what happened to her after her car was abandoned. The search teams covered miles of terrain, used specialized equipment, and followed up on every possible lead, but Alexis herself remained missing. The discovery of the abandoned car marked a turning point in how everyone viewed Alexis's disappearance. The condition of the car and the presence of her belongings made it clear that this wasn't a voluntary disappearance. The search efforts also brought the community together in remarkable ways. Volunteers organized search parties, distributed flyers, and used social media to spread awareness. Local businesses contributed to reward funds, and media coverage kept Alexis's story in the public eye. The community's response reflected the person Alexis had been, someone who had touched many lives and earned genuine affection and respect. But despite all of these efforts, the search for Alexis Ware didn't produce the answers her family desperately needed. The abandoned car had provided some clues about what might have happened, but it hadn't brought them any closer to finding her or understanding the full scope of what had occurred on that remote dirt road in McCormick County. In the absence of concrete answers about what happened to Alexis Ware, rumors and speculation began to fill the void. Social media became both a powerful tool for spreading awareness and a breeding ground for unfounded theories that complicated the investigation. The most persistent rumors centered around the fathers of Alexis's children. In many missing person cases, law enforcement and the public naturally look first at intimate partners and ex-partners. In Alexis's case, the fact that she had been meeting with T.J. Patterson on the night she disappeared made him an inevitable focus of speculation. Social media users began analyzing every detail of TJ's behavior, his social media posts, and his public statements about Alexis's disappearance. Some people found his responses suspicious, questioning why he hadn't seemed more concerned when Alexis drove around his car, or suggesting that his description of her recent behavior as erratic was an attempt to discredit her. Both T.J. Patterson and Sosa publicly denied any involvement in Alexis's disappearance. T.J., in particular, addressed the rumors directly through social media posts, expressing frustration with the accusations while also sharing his own concerns about what had happened to Alexis.
I ain't had nothing to do with nothing. Period. You know what I'm saying? I kept questioning her. Damn, Miss Alberta, was she talking to another dude? I mean, it gotta be. You know what I'm saying? Is this a plot, a setup, or something? What is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? So I finally kept drilling her. So one day, last Monday? Last Monday, she sent me the message. She said, "Oh, it hit me like a lightning bolt." Yeah, she was messing. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. Yeah, she was having an affair with this dude. Come on, man. But y'all got there. But you already know what's going on. But you just not telling the police this shit. And here it is almost a month later. What type of shit that is, bro? What type of shit that is? Come on, man. Keep that shit a band, nigga. If I had anything to do with this shit, bro, them people that bitch snatched me, bro. I'm on an ankle monitor, bro.
The challenge with social media speculation is that it can quickly spiral beyond factual discussion into character assassination and conspiracy theories. This speculation wasn't just harmful to the individuals involved. It also potentially interfered with the investigation and created additional stress for Alexis's family. Despite these challenges, social media also served important positive functions in Alexis's case. It helped spread awareness about her disappearance far beyond the local community, provided a platform for her family to share updates, and reflected genuine concern from people who had never met her but were moved by her story. More than 2 years after Alexis Ware vanished from that red light in Anderson, South Carolina, her family continues their relentless search for answers. The investigation remains active, though law enforcement has been careful not to reveal specific details that might compromise their efforts. The Ware family has refused to let Alexis's story fade from public attention. They've maintained a persistent campaign to keep her case visible, including billboard campaigns throughout South Carolina, featuring Alexis's photograph and offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to her discovery. These billboards serve multiple purposes beyond just spreading awareness. For the family, they represent a tangible way to continue fighting for Alexis when they might otherwise feel helpless. As her family has stated, "We just want her home. We will never stop looking for you." Law enforcement agencies continue to encourage anyone with information about Alexis's disappearance to come forward. The Greenville County Sheriff's Office, Anderson County Sheriff's Office, and FBI remain involved in the investigation. The persistence of multiple law enforcement agencies suggests that investigators believe this case can be solved and that they continue to pursue active leads. For the community that knew and loved Alexis, her disappearance has had lasting effects. Local residents continue to share her story on social media, attend vigils and awareness events, and contribute to efforts to find her. The response demonstrates the impact that Alexis had on her community and their refusal to let her be forgotten. The family continues to hope that someone who has been silent for over 2 years will finally decide to come forward with information. Cases like this are often solved when witnesses or people with knowledge decide that they can no longer remain silent. The family's message remains consistent and powerful. Somebody knows something, and we just want to keep the light shining. This statement reflects their belief that Alexis's disappearance didn't happen in a vacuum, that someone, somewhere, has information that could provide the answers they desperately need. The investigation into Alexis Ware's disappearance continues, supported by her family's determination, community involvement, and law enforcement's ongoing efforts. While more than 2 years have passed without resolution, the persistence of all those involved demonstrates that Alexis has not been forgotten and that the search for answers continues. Anyone with information about Alexis Ware's disappearance is encouraged to contact local law enforcement or the FBI. Even small details that might seem insignificant could be the key to finally bringing Alexis home and providing her family with the answers they've been seeking for over 2 years. The case of Alexis Ware serves as a tragic reminder that when someone consistently expresses fear for their safety, those concerns deserve to be taken seriously regardless of whether we can identify a clear source of threat. The fact that Alexis couldn't or wouldn't specify exactly who was threatening her doesn't mean her fears were unfounded. One of the most important lessons from this case is the value of documentation. When someone reports being followed, receiving threatening calls, or feeling unsafe, it's crucial to document these incidents thoroughly and encourage them to file police reports. Alexis's story also reveals how isolation can make dangerous situations worse. Community support systems play a crucial role in protecting vulnerable individuals. When someone is experiencing threats or living in fear, having a network of people who check in regularly and take concerns seriously can be life-saving. The ongoing search for Alexis demonstrates the power of persistent community action. Her family's refusal to give up, their continued efforts to keep her story visible, and the community's ongoing support show how collective action can sustain hope and potentially generate new leads even years after someone disappears. Perhaps the most profound lesson from Alexis's case is that the people we lose to violence or mysterious circumstances were full, complex human beings who deserve safety, love, and the opportunity to see their children grow up. Alexis wasn't just a victim. She was a mother, daughter, friend, and community member whose absence has left a permanent hole in the lives of many people. What do you think happened to Alexis Ware? After hearing all the details of this case, do you believe someone was actually stalking her, or could there be another explanation for her behavior in those final weeks? Was her decision to drive around TJ's car at that red light a moment of panic, or did she see something that confirmed her worst fears? Share your thought in the comments below, but please remember to be respectful. Real families are still searching for answers. If this case moved you, please show your support by hitting that like button. It helps share Alexis's story with more people, and who knows, the right person might see this video and finally come forward with the information her family desperately needs. Don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Station and ring that notification bell so you're always notified when we release new episodes. Your subscription helps us continue this important work of keeping these stories alive. The case of Alexis Ware reminds us that behind every missing person statistic is a real person whose absence creates ripples of pain and loss. Until she is found, her family will continue their search. Her community will continue to remember her, and the hope for answers will continue to shine as brightly as the love that still surrounds her memory. Thank you for joining me on True Crime Station today. Remember, these aren't just stories. They're real lives, real families, and real communities still seeking justice. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and never stop seeking the truth.